I got him the job. I vouched for him. I introduced him to the people who made things move. He said, "I owe you everything." Then he stepped on me to reach the next level. He didn't just leave me behind. He buried me. But when he slipped and reached for help, all he found was the space where the ladder used to be. My name is Thomas. I'm 54. And I used to believe that loyalty was a two-way street. That if you help someone rise, they'd reach back. Turns out, some people see your hand not as support, but as a step. I met Derek 12 years ago. We weren't kids. We were men in the second act of life, figuring it out. He was charming, quick with words, always on. I was quieter, better with systems, strategy, the long game. We balanced each other, or so I thought. I brought him into the company. He was struggling, laid off, tired, humbled. I told the board he was the real deal. Smart, reliable, and exactly the voice we need. They trusted me, so they hired him. And in the beginning he was grateful. Lunches, late nights. He even told my wife once, "Thomas changed my life." But power does something to men like Derek. It doesn't reveal who they are. It amplifies it. At first, it felt like teamwork. We brainstormed together. He filled the room with words. I filled the gaps with plans. It worked. Clients noticed. Management noticed. But over time, the we in his voice became I. In meetings, he'd say, "Here's what I've been working on." As he presented slides I designed, he started saying I had this thought about strategies that came from our late-night calls. I let it go. Told myself it didn't matter who said what as long as we were winning together. But then came the pitch. It was a major client. 7-figure potential. We worked on it for weeks. Strategy, messaging, risk mitigation all outlined by me. But when the time came to present, Derek insisted he'd lead it solo. "You're too technical," he said. "They need the front man." I sat in the second row. Watched him deliver every word like it was born in his brain. He didn't glance at me once. After they signed, the CEO shook Derek's hand. "That was brilliant. You're a natural." Derek smiled and said, "Glad I could pull this off." No mention, no nod, no trace of me. I walked out of the room quietly. But something had shifted. Not just trust, my role. It started with meetings I wasn't invited to. Just calendar gaps where strategy used to be. Projects I used to lead now reassigned. I asked my supervisor. He gave me a careful shrug. "Leadership's going in a new direction. Derek's been pushing some exciting angles." Exciting angles. Apparently, that meant cutting off the guy who built the platform. Derek stopped replying to my messages in full sentences. Started talking around me in meetings. Correcting me mid-sentence in front of interns. Once, I walked past his office and heard him say, "Thomas? Great guy, but a little stuck in his ways." I stopped. I stood in the hall, frozen. That sentence, from the man I once covered rent for, the man whose resume I rewrote. Then came the final signal. He pitched a new department model, a complete restructure of the division I ran. And he got it approved. I wasn't just being edged out. I was being erased. The day they reorganized my role, they used the same phrasing I'd once read in someone else's exit letter. "We appreciate all you've contributed. Unfortunately, the position is no longer aligned with the company's growth direction." Translation: "Thanks for the ladder. We're done with you now." I didn't get angry. I got quiet. Because I knew Derek's climb wasn't over. And some climbs don't end where you think they will. I boxed up my office slowly. Not because I was sad. Because I was remembering where I'd hidden the notes, the systems, the unofficial workflows I'd built to keep things running. No one ever asked how the machine stayed smooth. They just assumed it would even when I was gone. I left with a smile, shook hands, even nodded to Derek. "Good luck," I said. He gave that politician smile, the one I used to believe. "We'll keep in touch." I knew we wouldn't. But he would keep something else. My work. At least, he thought so. What he didn't realize was this. I hadn't just built procedures. I'd built relationships. Vendors, clients, quiet gatekeepers deep in operations who knew exactly who got things done and who just looked good doing it. I took a month off. Sat on my porch. Watched the trees change color. And one morning, I got a call. Old client. Old friend. "Things feel off. Derek's in charge now, right?" I didn't answer. Just listened. Then he said, "If you ever start something new, call me." Click. That was the moment I realized. Derek may have taken the office, but I still held the foundation. And when a man stands on a ladder built by someone else, all it takes is one hand to pull it back. I didn't make any calls, didn't send emails, didn't warn anyone. I just stopped holding it all up. And when you remove the silent architect, the building starts to sway. Within 2 months, I started hearing things. Clients complaining about inconsistencies. Team members leaving the ones I used to coach quietly. Vendors delayed. Budgets unbalanced. And Derek? He started posting motivational quotes on LinkedIn. That's how I knew he was panicking. One day, I got another call. Operations director. The one who once said I was too cautious. We're looking for outside consultants to stabilize some things. Your name came up. A lot. I paused, then said, sure, but I want no titles, no politics, just solutions. She agreed. 3 weeks later, I was back in the building. Different badge, different floor. Same structure I'd built with my hands now full of cracks. I didn't look for Derek, but he found me. In the hallway. He froze mid-step. Didn't expect to see you here. I smiled. That makes 2 of us. He started to speak again, something defensive, something clever. But I didn't give him the stage. I just kept walking. Because this time, he was the one watching. And I was the one no longer needed to be seen. Consulting gave me freedom. No politics. No department drama. Just problems to solve and the quiet satisfaction of knowing no one else could. But while I rebuilt the machine, Derek struggled to hold the steering wheel. His emails got more aggressive. His tone sharper. He started doubling meetings. Changing priorities. Grasping for something solid. But the structure no longer revolved around him. It moved with my rhythm. Because the systems? They remembered their architect. One afternoon, I walked past the executive floor. Derek stood in the glass room, pacing. The CFO sat still. So did the COO. Behind the tinted glass, I could see everything. Except his way out. That night, I got an email. From him. We should talk. I didn't answer. Some conversations aren't owed. Some endings don't need permission. 2 weeks later, word spread. Derek resigned. Just like that. No goodbye email. No farewell cake. Just silence. The same kind he once gave me. A week after Derek resigned, the call came. HR. Then the COO. Then the board. We'd like you to return as department head. Full authority. I thanked them. Paused. Then said, I'm not interested in running what broke twice. Silence on the line. Then I added, but I'll design something that won't break again. They gave me 6 months. Full autonomy. A budget. No politics. I hired slow. Promoted carefully. Built new frameworks not around stars, but around stability. No more cults of personality. No more charming climbers. Just real people, trusted systems, and work that spoke louder than titles. They asked if I wanted the old office back. I said no. I don't need a window. I need a door that opens for others. And that's what I built. A ladder that didn't require stepping on anyone to climb. I didn't post a return announcement. Didn't hold a speech. I just showed up early, as always. And started building what I wished I'd had 20 years ago. I made mentorship mandatory. Not force structured. No more leaving people to figure it out. No more rewarding volume over value. I created space for quiet thinkers. For those who don't shout, but solve. And slowly, a new culture took root. One where respect wasn't about how many names you dropped, but how many people you lifted. One junior analyst stopped me in the elevator. You're the guy who came back, right? I nodded. He said, my manager said you're the reason I get to do real work, not just coffee runs. I smiled. Tell your manager I said thank you for breaking the pattern. Because that's what this all became. Not revenge. Not redemption. But reconstruction of what trust looks like in a place that once forgot it. The company profile was updated. New leadership model. New team structure. My name was on it. His. Nowhere. No mention. No thank you for your contributions. No footprint. Just absence. The kind that only truth can create. Some ask what happened to Derek. I changed the subject. Because the best revenge isn't destruction. It's removal. Not just from the org chart. From the narrative. Now, when I walk the halls, people nod. Not in fear. In trust. They know I won't forget who helped or who harmed. But I won't live in that chapter either. Sometimes, late at night, I think of the moment I first opened the door for him. The trust. The belief. And I forgive myself. Because the lesson wasn't about him. It was about who I became once he was gone. Some people build ladders. Some people climb them. And some learn to carry them forward for someone worth lifting.